I'm Carrie Peters, a recognized thought leader in the Microsoft Dynamics community and a Microsoft MVP for business applications. Welcome to the Get Your New View podcast. Keep listening to learn how to increase utilization of your business systems, allowing your Business Central and NAV solutions to be a catalyst for your business growth and profitability. When we're done, I'll let you know how you can get in touch to put your goals and ideas into action and start moving your business forward. Here today, we have Cari Corozza, who's a trainer with our company. Cari, welcome to the Get Your New View podcast. We're so glad to have you here to hear your story about customer success with business process improvement. Tell us about the story that you brought to share with us today.
Thanks for having me here, Carrie. I'm excited about this. And one of my favorite customers to work with actually was a company who had lost their accounts payable person, and they had just hired 2 new accounts payable employees. And those employees both had a good amount of experience with entering accounts payable. However, they didn't have any experience with NAV. So my role was to kind of help the company catch up on payables while also getting those new accounts payables, those employees comfortable with the system, the processes of the company, and just get them familiar with, how the system could work to support them entering the payables. So it was also kind of great to have employees who were new to the company and the system, because we were able to kind of work through things together and keep in mind what our end goal was and how we could accomplish that. So I was able to help them with solutions, of things that could maybe be done in a better way than was being done before, or a less manual way. And I think it's easy for us to get stuck in the mindset of that's how we've always done it. And I know personally, I've been at a lot of companies in the past where I'm training a new employee and they ask me why we do something. And the answer a lot of times that comes to mind is, well, this is the way that I was shown when I first started with the company, or this is just the way that we've always done it. And I think that once we actually kind of evaluate our processes and understand what the desired outcome is and why, we can then go that deeper level and kind of look at how we're doing things to arrive at that end result, and maybe see how the system can assist us in doing that in a more or in a less manual way to get to that result.
Great. I know one of the things that you mentioned, Cari, that was a symptom that you observed is that they were using a lot of paper. So how did you identify that, and how did you go about the process of solving that particular problem?
Yeah, we were actually able to go completely paperless with the payables processes, which last year wasn't really, that important. But now that we get into this year, I think they were really thankful that they had already made that transition over to paperless. So we were able to use the system NAV to attach, documents to journal entries, documents within the system. And we also no longer required physical signatures on invoices. So just simply by using the email, we were able to get approvals and then have that kind of audit trail that we could attach to documents or journal entries within Business Central.
That's fantastic. So evaluating approval processes is a big one, right? Because that can be a big bottleneck.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that definitely saved them a lot of time each week. And then we also were able to use something which some of us might think is, simple, but to them it saved at least 1 to 2 hours a week. They were getting a giant Excel file each week from one of their vendors, and they would kind of format that file, and then they would manually enter 100 to 200 lines in a purchase invoice. And I showed them the copy and paste function, again, which we might think is just something simple with Business Central or NAV, and it saved them at least 1 to 2 hours a week. They could just do a simple copy and paste from that Excel file and not have to manually enter those lines. So another little thing we were able to add that saved them a whole lot of time.
Fantastic. So all of these things that you did with them, it sounds like, was it base NAV, or did you guys use add-ons or extensions?
I don't believe that they use any extensions. Everything we did was base NAV.
Yeah. So just a change in process, or a change in how they do things. So one of the things that I always like to tell people about our team is that our real world experience out there makes a big difference. Tell us a little bit about your experience and where you came from before you worked with NewView, and why that makes a difference with our customers.
Absolutely. So before NewView, I was working as a financial analyst accountant, also entering accounts payable. And, I found myself kind of in the same situation as other people find themselves now, is that a lot of times when you're thinking that there's got to be a better way to do something or a quicker way or a less manual way, usually there is. And I also compare this sometimes to Excel, because as an accountant, Excel is one of my favorite tools. And if I find that I'm doing something in Excel and it's just taking too long and I'm thinking there's got to be a better way, 99 out of 100 times there is a better way. So just seeking out someone that has kind of that knowledge, because you don't know what you don't know in the system. It's not your fault that you don't know that this function is available, or that you can copy and paste or do these different functions in Excel or in NAV. So just learning from someone, I think, who's kind of had that experience. And I actually got very lucky in that my boss who was training me had many, many years of experience with NAV. So I got lucky in that regard, and that I was learning from someone who was able to kind of just rack up those years of experience, had already figured out, what the best way was to do a lot of things. But not everybody, has that luxury to learn from someone who has a lot of experience with NAV or Business Central. It might be new to the entire company.
Yeah, no, that makes a huge difference. If I recall correctly, with this customer, they had actually contacted us when they had lost a couple of their employees, and they decided not to go with us at first. They hired a couple of temporary employees and thought that would be just fine, that they could get caught up on their payables and they wouldn't have a problem. And fortunately or unfortunately, they contacted us back in a couple of months and said that it wasn't working with the temporaries that they had hired, that because they didn't know NAV and because they really didn't have well-established processes to show those folks what they should be doing, they really needed somebody with NAV expertise. So we sent you to work with them, and within a couple of months, you had them all straightened out and caught up and on the path with new processes. And I really do chalk that up to that real world experience that you had, where you understood that job and exactly what needed to be done.
Yeah, I remember that clearly as well. And I think, as you mentioned, it was within a couple of months. But when I first got there, I think they were pretty behind on payables, and vendors were actually threatening to freeze their accounts. So it was important that we get everything entered as quickly as possible, and also that we kind of evaluated those processes along the way. So there were many things that kind of contributed to being able to get all of that entered. I know I mentioned we did copy and paste in NAV Business Central. We went paperless with everything, which saved a lot of time having to try to trace down physical signatures on things, or, like receiving documents from the warehouse. And I think we used recurring purchase lines as well, which, if you have ever entered accounts payable, is one of the most amazing things when entering payables. So recurring purchase lines are standard purchase codes in NAV. So all of those things together, I think, probably saved them about 5 to 10 hours a week of entering payables. So we were finally able to get caught up with things. They kind of settled into their roles. And as you mentioned, it didn't take long, but it helped that I had that experience and I could show them, here's how you can make this a little bit easier. Here's how you can make this faster.
That's fantastic. Well, I love those numbers that you had in there, the 5 to 10 hours a week of savings. That's incredibly significant, especially when you start to extrapolate that against multiple employees. That makes a big difference. And your story really is a true transformative experience for that customer. All those things that you listed really made a big difference, and all of it using your expertise as a consultant and as a trainer to help them out. So what a fantastic story, Cari. I'm so glad that you were able to share that here with our customers today on the Get Your New View podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm Cari Peters. Thank you for tuning in to the Get Your New View podcast. For more episodes like this on YouTube, click the subscribe button and ring the bell to ensure that you get notified whenever new content comes out. If you're listening to the audio podcast, please share an honest review on Apple Podcasts. If you are ready to rethink today for tomorrow, look for the link below and contact us to speak with our expert team. You won't find the level of no-nonsense, real-world experience we offer anywhere else, and we're here to put that experience to work for you. Do you think you could use more features of your software if you just knew how? Are you frustrated with inefficiency that never seems to get better? Did your team ever really get good training to understand how to use your business software? Do you suspect that there just has to be a better way, but you don't know what that is? We believe every company can benefit from increased efficiency and higher utilization of their software, and that it's possible to have fun while learning exactly how to do that. The experts at NewView Strategies will tap into the true power of Dynamics Business Central and NAV for your company by helping you to rethink today for tomorrow. Please contact us at getyournewview.com to get started.